Aires, Jalisco.
Guadalajara, 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 Guadalajara. Ay, 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 ay.
All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Live from Guadalajara. We are here, day 5 of the Guadalajara Book Fair. How is everyone today?
Doing good, excited, really motivated. We're happy to be here with all of you, sharing time with these wonderful authors, and just already missing them, reminiscing of everything that we've learned about each other and each other's books and the stories that we have to share.
Every single day I see you guys talking to each other about your books, about your life, and it's been really nice to see. How has it been, Dr. Dafin?
It's been awesome. I mean, the experience, I love all the things I've learned, from the authors and also from just here. The culture is my first time in Mexico, so amazing.
Letitia, it's definitely not your first time in Mexico, is it?
Of course not. It's my 66th time. I was born in Guadalajara, of course, but I come every year from California. But every year, this year is a special. It's even more special than any other because I met all of you. I became part of the ReadersMagnet. I finished my book, publishing. What a great place to come out with my book, my hometown. And then I met so many people that I believe were a really, really magical experience being here.
I heard you had some serendipitous meetings yesterday as well.
Wow. Yes, I walking in here, I came across some students that I met that I had 30 years ago, and they had bought my book already. So last night we went out and we talked about memories, and I signed their book, and it was just like a complete circle, hearing their story and telling me, I was just showing the pastor that they wrote a little note saying, you made our lives so happy when we were in your classroom. We forgot about everything, and the book speaks just like you. They said when we read the book, it was you. There was no doubt about it. And so that to me was a blessing. And then coming across this morning talking about another project, it's just overwhelming and happiness for me. Yes. I feel that God's hand is in all this, and I believe it.
Amazing, amazing.
Yes, it's been wonderful to just get to know each other, and I'm a huge believer of finding the purpose of every day, and I think that we found the purpose for today, and we ran to have a little bit of breakfast together, and we're talking about the huge value, and that's what's wonderful about coming to a book fair and sharing with other authors, because you see the amount of ideas, the value of humanity that is out there to be shared and to learn from each other. And when you find that and you come together with someone where you can join forces and do something even better and greater, it's amazing. So I just want to say thank you, ReadersMagnet, for reaching out to us, for just bringing us here. It's been a wonderful experience. And if you're an author, you're just starting, and you don't know where to showcase release your books or what to do. Just coming here will bring you into a community of others who are, experts. Others are just beginning. Others are transitioning into writing, and just sharing amongst each other our experiences and differences and the styles and the brokenness that comes into writing or bringing a story into life. It's amazing. It's strengthening. I think we've grown a lot hearing each other. So I don't want to preach. I want to share also. I'm sure that each of you has something wonderful to say as well.
Dr. Daphine, what has been your favorite part of the book fair so far?
Yesterday I was, of course, meeting the Readers Magnet. Since I've been working with them, it's been an amazing experience. So having to meet the Readers Magnet, having to meet the authors, all the books. I've been looking at the books and all the amazing, information that we all have shared. And just, being here, the people are so kind, the language is a problem. But we have been able to communicate. They're smiling, they're very kind. So it's amazing to meet people from different cultures. So, really, really a wonderful experience for me.
What about you, Letitia? Your favorite part of the fair?
My favorite part is the friendliness, the openness in being able to ask any question and getting an answer. I feel more secure now because ReadersMagnet helped me understand the process of being published. And originally I just went anywhere in the internet, and there were some things that I didn't like, but I was just a brand new person learning. And so God was, through my prayers, I said, send me someone or some company that will understand me. And not only did it bring me to ReadersMagnet, but I met all these wonderful people. So I even got a plus on it. So my experience with ReadersMagnet, I can't even put words in it. I do agree with the doctor. It's multicultural. Many cultures have been, that I met here, many beliefs, and we're all one. We all share it as one. ReadersMagnet is truly multicultural and multi-faith and multi.
That's right.
It goes beyond just
It's a
being
collage of people.
right. So for me, that is a great image of ReadersMagnet.
And I just want to say this: they didn't put us to pitch in for ReadersMagnet. It's just coming out
We're not
from
getting paid.
our experience. This is not something that we were going to talk about our books, and we can do that certainly. But I just feel that this is something that we need to say. Because I think all of us share the same thing. Okay, we put the book out there, we put it in Amazon, and what do I do now with it? It's a wonderful message. So I think that it needed to be said, and I'm glad to say it. And definitely, we're gonna come back. I have other books that I'm gonna put with them as well, because I want to grow the community of people where we can support each other and say you did great, and know that it's coming from an honest heart, a heart that is going to support the other writers as well. So it's wonderful, and I just wanted to make it clear. Oh, they're just doing a half an hour of saying that ReaderMagnet, this is great. No, honestly, this has been a truthful experience for us, and we're going to come back to all the places where we can go with our books and our message.
Thank you so much. We definitely did not ask you to say that. So us as well, we're very touched and surprised. And our team meeting you guys has been so fruitful and so inspiring, because yes, we see your books, but then meeting the people behind the books and hearing about your life and your story and your aspirations as well, that touches us in a different way, and it makes us even more motivated to help you guys get your story out there, because they are very good, very inspiring stories that will help a lot of people. And without further ado, let's actually talk about your books this time. So please give us a summary of your book, and what type of message that your book is trying to send.
Okay, my book, I'll start and I'll give it to the ladies. It is The Awakening of the Brave. And I am a pastor. That is my background. And I was just sharing with the ladies that we were going to speak about our writing styles. And one of the goals that I have for the next books is to make it more readable for the regular reader, because I am a pastor, so I am adding a whole bunch of scriptures into the book, and it's a teaching, it's a preaching into the book. But the main point in here is who you are in all honesty before the eyes of God, before the eyes of the people that get to know you. Have you been vulnerable enough to look into yourself and find out, is there sadness, is there depression, is there bitterness, is there resentment, is there anger, is there hatred? Because we all need to acknowledge that. And yesterday, Maggie, one of the wonderful authors here, was saying for her, there's no negative or positive emotions, it's just emotions. And she's right, it is our reality. And what can we do to bring those emotions into a balance, into a place where we can be the best version of who we are, and be honest when we say, well, I am successful in life, because you are successful within yourself. That's the main message of the book, and that's the story. That's the message that I want to give. And this is where I guide the people that I teach. I guide the people that I pastor. Is being honestly the best person, the best mother, the best wife, the best husband, the best daughter, son that you can be, so that your life can be at the fullest of what God intended you to live. Yes.
Thank you, Pastor. Speaking of living to the fullest and taking care of your well-being, let's have Dr. Dafine.
So my book is titled the Future of Medicine to Prevent and Reverse Chronic Diseases. So I am a physician, my background in family medicine and lifestyle medicine, but really my passion is in lifestyle medicine. So what I'm talking about in this book is what we can do in our lifestyle, not looking into medicines and a procedure to fix, what's going on in our bodies, but what can we do in our lifestyle to fix what's going wrong, right? If you have diabetes, you're struggling with obesity, heart disease, and high cholesterol and high blood pressure and all these problems, what can you do not only to prevent these diseases but to reverse them? That's the amazing thing about this. And the book is heavy on nutrition, because nutrition first. I always say that, nutrition first, because this is something we do every day. Each one of us, we have to eat to live. And how can we use our nutrition to reverse those diseases, right? Because it's possible. It has been done. If you look out there in the research, it has been done, but it hasn't been promoted enough. And that's what I am doing, spreading the message, talking about whole food, plant-based nutrition, right? Because that should be the foundation of our food. It's eating whole plants, because they have very powerful compounds, very high in nutrients and compounds that protect our body from degeneration. And if you are, whatever you are eating is either promoting degeneration or regeneration. And plant foods, as you can see on the board, I have amazing, colorful looking plant foods. They regenerate the body, and so my emphasis is on whole food, plant-based. But not only that, there are other things we need to do: exercise and sleep and stress management, having faith, being out in nature, clean air, avoiding risky substances like drugs, alcohol, and smoking. These are the things that I cover in this book too. And these are simple things. I'm not saying go buy another $1,500 drug. I'm saying use what you already have, what you already know, to reclaim your health. The doctor, unfortunately, the doctor is not going to fix you. They can give you a medicine, it's a band-aid, but you have to fix your health.
Thank you. Last but definitely not the least,
Yes.
Ms. Leticia.
My book is Muñecas, and it's a personal narrative. It's a memoir of a 22-year-old woman who had the misfortune of having a sick child. My son lived in the hospital for about 8 months, and he was supposed to live 2 weeks, but I feel that me staying by his side prolonged his life. I journaled everything. It was my way to face everything that was going on. I journaled my time with him, my feelings, and everything that I saw in the hospital. My son was in the floor where no child, it was Children's Hospital, had a possibility of living. So it was already a depressing place for me. And seeing other parents come in who didn't speak English, um, I had the necessity to help these people, even though the nurses advised me not to because I was receiving their pain. But I journaled everything and I saw a need to find someone or something to help me. How do I do this? How do I face this? What can help me? And I searched. I was a college student. I had my degree, I already had my BA degree in English. And I searched and I couldn't find anything that was not technical or that was not at a place where it was too elaborate with wording, that I couldn't find peace. It wasn't meant for not just my culture, but my feeling. So nothing, I never found anything. And I kept, my son finally, he died. And through that, after that, I became another person. I was depressed. I didn't want to live. I was angry with God. I was upset to see so many children, not only my son. And I was asking why. And so, my husband, we tried counseling, we tried Prozac, we tried all kinds of things. And I was hearing my son cry in the middle of the night until one day I went to the cemetery and I went with my bare hands, tried to dig him out. Because I thought, okay, he's cold, he's hot, he wants his bottle. That's when my husband decided to take me to his village, his hometown here in Jalisco, La Laja, and his family who's still there, and asked if I could stay a few months with them. And at first I thought, why is he leaving me here? 40 years ago, no water, no electricity, nothing that I knew as a city girl. And so at first I was questioning the fact, but little by little I started to, learn all the things that I needed to learn, and the women from day one already gave me love. Already, I mean, day one I came in, they already loved me and took me in. That's the kind of people they are. And when living there, I realized that these women and many people in the home village had some kind of loss, maybe a father, a mother, a child. These women had been mothers. This particular group of women that I worked with had been mothers very early, maybe 14, 15, and even surrogate mothers taking care of their brothers and sisters at 7 or 8. They never had a childhood. And so for them, they grew up so fast. So when I came in, I started learning from them and their losses of childhood and their losses of, not being able to be who they were. And so they asked me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a teacher. I teach ballet folklorico and I have self-esteem classes. And they asked me, can you teach us? And I thought, while they're teaching me, I am going to teach them. So I taught them to dance a son, which is a Mexican dance. And I saw the happiness in their eyes. Some women were too shy. They felt that they shouldn't do that. But then the second thing I did was a workshop on childhood. They wanted me to work with them on something. So I figured, let me go through this first stage, which is going through childhood. And what I found here just knocked me out. I found out that through, concentrating and taking your mind somewhere else, they all had the same feeling of never having a doll. Some of them even cried and said, I cleaned the master's house and the little girls were playing with dolls and my mother would pull me away from them or pull me away from seeing them, and she would tell me, that's not for us, you got to be this way. And so for me, even getting a straw doll didn't make, they would fall apart. So I just gave up, and they all had the same story. And so when I gave the workshop and found this out, I felt they were incomplete. So it was time for me to leave, and going back home, I felt like I had grown and I had found my peace. I came back home with running water, a toilet, and I told my husband I will never complain about the bathroom ever again. There was clinics close by where all these women had losses, where the children were bitten by, spiders or had a minor infection but passed away. So in shopping, I found a place called Toys R Us, and they had a sale 2 for 1. So it just dawned on me, I never planned to buy the dolls. So I thought, I will take these dolls back to the village, to these people, to these ladies, And I try to match the doll with their loss. There was a woman who lost two children, and then someone who lost a baby, someone who lost a 10-year-old. So I would try to match the doll. I tried to match the doll. And when I went back 6 months later, I had a little workshop with him and I surprised them with the dolls. And what I found in this experience in watching them, first they first looked at me like, why? Or are you sure? Are they mine? Can I touch it? And then when I said they're yours, they're all yours, they started being little girls. They were crying, they were talking to the babies, their voices were changing. A couple of them, you just put them to sleep, breastfed the doll. I mean, they were in a place where some of them were mothers and some of them were little girls. And even the oldest one, who was in her 80s, all she did was hold her doll and cry. That's all she did. And so to me, that was a mystical, magical, holy experience. I felt the Holy Spirit there. I felt like I was a messenger, and I was honored. I was honored in that hour. And so since I had been journaling everything, of course I journaled this. So when I came home and using just my manuscripts and journals, I started talking to women and explaining, and then it developed into, why don't you give us a workshop, and so on. And then the idea, 25 years later, they said, why don't you write the story? And I tried, but it was too painful. I couldn't go back to, I thought I had been done with the memory with my son. So long story short, through the pain, I said, I need to write the book. And this is where Muñecas came from. Through this, someone asked me yesterday, was it a painful experience writing it? Absolutely. But I felt that I had to do it, and I'm so very glad that I did. Just yesterday, a woman was here telling me that her sister had just lost her little girl to cancer, and 5 years ago lost her son. And so I was like thinking, you need to take her this book. She needs to read it. And she said, I agree. So just alone, that made it my value. That I know there's more people like that. Men read it and tell me, I lost my mom, or I lost a limb in the war, or and they find their muñecas through listening to music. That's their muñecas. That's where they feel the warmth and the happiness. They feel, I had a gentleman who went through a divorce, and his loss was so great, and he was in so much pain. And he said when he read the book, he was just reading it for he saw the culture, because I speak about Dia de los Muertos and dance. I'm heavy in the culture, the Mexican culture. And he said he discovered that he liked hiking in the mountains, and that started speaking to him and giving him peace. And he said, that's my muñeca, and he helped me.
That's amazing. And I think it's really nice how you discovered that when you went back to your hometown, back to your roots. And I spoke to Dr. Dafine yesterday, and she also brought her book to her hometown and her roots. Why don't you speak a little bit about that experience?
My hometown. I plan to. I haven't gone back yet, but that's
This is something that I want to talk to you about, because yes, as I was listening to you, I think it's something valuable that you can bring back to the place that we both know, and your hometown, which I'm sure there is people waiting for it.
I mean, the thing is, even on my social media, most of my followers are actually people from my country. So a lot of the things I address in the book, especially with the food, my main thing is food. So even though the book has a lot of other things, but my main thing is the food. So I talk about my cultural foods, the way that we cook our food, and the way that we have moved away from those natural foods that I grew up eating to now, more fast foods and processed foods, and eating a lot of, animal-based foods, which growing up, we did not afford this kind of foods, right? So when you ate meat, it was once in a while, right? It was occasional, but now people can afford, to eat large quantities of these foods or very often, and they're, gaining so much weight and getting all these diseases that we used to call them growing up the diseases of the rich. Right now, everybody's getting diseases of the rich. So really, I'm very passionate about sharing this information to my people back home, and even going back there, I want to be able to go back and speak about these things.
think it's admirable, just the education piece of your book, because we were speaking yesterday, some countries are more forward when it comes to health and gut health and nutritional health, and some countries are very much behind. One, because sometimes they just don't have the resources for it, and sometimes they just don't have the knowledge for it. It's not expensive, and it is accessible if you know how to do it. So yes. Pastor Betsy, I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite chapter of your book?
Um, the favorite chapter is we speak about the sword of Gideon. We've heard a lot about the stories about Gideon, and preachers speak about that. But the name of Gideon means the faller. The person who falls the trees. So the number one tool of a faller is an axe. And the Bible speaks to us about roots of bitterness and roots that damage who we are. And when God sends Gideon to do the very first thing that he asked him to do, he says, go and cut off the sacred trees that are in your father's house. And to me, that is showing or guiding him to cut down the roots, the generational roots that he was bringing with him, all of the hatred, all of the pain, all of the losses that were sacred to his family, because there are things that are sacred to us in our families. We talk about alcoholism, we talk about incest, we talk about sexual abuse, we talk about all kinds of things that are sacred trees in our families, and that we hide and we bury, and we're afraid to get the axe and go and fall those trees. So I think the acts of Gideon is getting our own voice, is being brave enough and bold enough to say, you know what, there was incest in my family, but it shouldn't happen anymore. You know what, I was made to be a mother of my brothers and sisters when I was a little girl, but my daughter doesn't have to be a person who is growing up faster than she has to. She can now live a childhood normal, because there are things that we pass on to our kids that are not necessarily positive inheritance. We make them have these sacred trees because it's what happened to the grandmother and the mother, and now the daughter and the granddaughter are living it. So just finding the axe, finding my spiritual axe, and daring to go back and cutting those trees down is one of the most powerful chapters. And I think everybody needs to have their own acts in their families and go back and look and say, you know what, I don't want this tree anymore, and really cut it down. And I go into what do you do when you fall a tree? Then you make sure that you uproot all of the little roots, because it's gonna grow again if you don't clean that out. And then you chop up that tree and you get rid of it. You use what you need to use for experiences, for lessons, to strengthen. You own your story. You tell your kids, you know what, grandma did have a problem with incest. This is where we come from. But you don't say it now from a place of shame, but from a place of conquering that, overcoming that. And look where we are now, even though this happened to us. And you look at other people who are there now with compassion, with forgiveness, with love, with restoration. So I think that's one of the most powerful chapters. For me, it took me about 4 years to do a lot of introspection, to look at my mother and my father, to look at my family, and to look at my children, my daughters, and say they are having to go through things that they don't need to, because no one has stopped to really say enough is enough, and we're not going to go through this. So the awakening of the brave is that me waking up and saying, I'm going to be brave enough for all of my generations before me, and say, I'm not going to go through this anymore, and I will not allow any more of my family to be destroyed by this sacred trees that we have in our families.
Wow.
Yeah,
Like, even hearing you talk about that, it's such a strong chapter.
it is.
And I can see the faces of Dr. Dafin and Letitia as well, where it's just touch them and hit them, because we all have these trees
Yes, we do.
that we are so reluctant to cut
Yes.
down.
Yes.
And it takes bravery to speak about it. Like
Yes.
for Letitia to speak about her experience with her son. And even for Doctor to really step out and be out of the norm to talk about all of the disadvantages of eating the food that we currently have. It's all bravery, and it's all getting your voice out into the world. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Dr. Dafin, what is your favorite chapter of your book?
You guessed it right. Nutrition. It is what I preach all day, because this is
Y como dijo Vargas, no te rajes, Jalisco.
Guadalajara, Guadalajara. Guadalajara, Guadalajara. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.
Hello. Sorry about we just got cut off. This is the thing with lives, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for our authors for understanding and for our audience for understanding. But I will go back to Dr. Delphine and ask you again, what is your favorite chapter of your book?
It is the nutrition chapter, and it's the first chapter of the book. You know, I love food, and I know a lot of people love food, and there's no option about it, right? We have to eat to live. So why it is my favorite chapter? Like I was saying earlier, that there are many other things I addressed in the book. You know, sleep, exercise, and time in nature, avoiding risky substance, social connection, faith, and they're very important. You know, faith is very important in our life. But the reason why I put nutrition as the first chapter of the book, because I feel like a lot of us don't pay enough attention. We don't pay enough attention to the food we are eating, right? And in this world where everything is becoming so fast, right? We are inclined now to get those fast foods. You know, get me something quick. I don't want to spend so much time thinking about the food, getting the food, whatever, you know, healthy food that I need to put in the house so I can eat, right? And food is a big tool we can use to reclaim our health, because it's what makes us. We are what we eat. We are what we eat. So that's why it's really important for me, and I love to cook. And I started cooking because, you know, going through medical school and all that, I didn't have a lot of time to do that. But, you know, I was sick. I was talking about this yesterday. I was sick myself 2 years ago. I had surgery, so I had to be at home away from work for a year and a half. And what did I do during that time? I was online looking for recipes. How can I, you know, make something nice for my kids so they're not like always eating rice and beans, right? And oats. So I really taught myself.
Y como dijo Vargas, no te rajes, Jalisco.
As natural as possible and as many plants as possible. Our foundation, the bulk of our food has to be plants because of the powerful nutrients that it comes with. Like I was saying, it's going to either regenerate us, ourselves, or degenerate. So we have to use food very, very wisely. And it's easy. it might take a little bit time at the beginning, but once you get used to it, I talk about 5 groups of foods. Your whole grains, your whole corn and millet and oats and brown rice, white rice. Your legumes, which is beans, lentils, peas, nuts and seeds, vegetables and fruits. These are the 5 foods which should make up the foundation of our diet. If you are eating any animal food, which you don't need, but if you want to eat some, it has to be like a condiment. It's something you add. We cannot make animal food the foundation of our diet and be healthy. It cannot, because it does not have protective compounds, phytochemicals, antioxidants, fiber, and it doesn't. It's actually really nutrient. I don't want to say void, but it's less nutritious. Animal food is less nutritious to our body than plant foods. You rather have beans than have fish or steak, right? Because of the nutrition content. And we cannot, a study came out that said 67% of the calories in kids in the US is coming from ultra processed foods. This is not food. This is not food. It's very nutrient void, high fat, high calorie, high sugar, but not nutritious. And this is degenerating our body and leading to disease, weight gain and diabetes and all these diseases. But if we're eating fruit and vegetables and beans and whole grains and nuts and seeds, we're going to become healthy.
Thank you. And we were speaking about this yesterday as well, that taking care of your physical health is also taking care of your mental health and your overall well-being. So everything is connected and everything is important.
Yes.
What you put in your body is what comes out. Yes. Last but not least, Letitia, what is your favorite chapter of your book?
Well, obviously, I have many chapters. I can't really, because in every chapter, my soul went in every chapter. I can honestly say that. I think what I described last was when the women got their dolls. That's kind of the high point of the book, and it's one of my favorites. But I have to say something that I have not said. My chapter begins with a poem, a personal poem that I wrote in my journals, just to kind of oversee everything that I've experienced for that week or what was going on at that time. So I think one of my favorite parts of the book is all the poetry that's in there. It's genuine, it's feeling, and it just opens up the chapter. So that would be something that I would say was my favorite part of the book. And it's leading to a place where my next book will be a poetry book. I have a collection of poems that have come through my life experiences that I use in my workshops. And the women just, I felt that way. Like I have poetry about husband and wives relationships. I have poetry about children. My poetry is not about love and nature and the little birds that come. My poetry is, my son is angry at me. My heart hurts. Where do I go from here, etc. So the workshops that I give with the poetry, I also teach the women to write poetry and tell them you don't have to be a poet, just write what you feel, because poets write what they feel. And they ask me, does it have to rhyme? No, it doesn't have to rhyme. So that's in the book, and particularly I'm very proud of those poems. And overall, I'm so very proud of my book.
Absolutely. And with your pride, tell us where you can find your book.
Okay, my book is available in Amazon. It's in Amazon US and Amazon Mexico. You could also find me in my website, Leticia Cervantes Lopez. You have to include Lopez.com, or you can find me in Facebook, Leticia Cervantes also. And I'm also on Instagram, Leticia Cervantes Lopez. And you can send me messages. You can call me and send me a message. I will call you, or you can call me, and you can contact. I'm very open to hear from you, and if you have some type of question, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you. Dr. Delphine, where can we find your book?
So my book is on Amazon, so you can find it as an ebook as well. But also I'm very active on social media. On Facebook, I post about health, and I can answer questions there. So Daphne Canero is my Facebook and Instagram as well, so we can interact there.
Thank you. Pastor Betsy, where?
You can find it in Amazon and in Barnes and Nobles as well. You have the Kindle version, and in Spanish, you already have the audiobook as well. You can find me on social media as Pastora Betsy Cordova, and my website as well, pastorabetsycordova.com. Or you can find my work in Manos Unidas Foundation.com. And I would love for you to follow that website because that's my passion. We need to do something for the world, something for people who need our help. So we thank you. We thank you for this time. So Amazon all of us, and you can follow us on our social medias.
I would like to leave a collective message. That I've gotten from all the authors and everyone. When it's our time to go back home to the Lord, we will not take our riches. What we will take is what we gave.
Yes.
And I wish people would keep that in mind. You can have all the money in the world and you know all the riches, but when we come to the Lord, it would be, what did you give?
Yes.
And as John Lennon said, all you need is love.
Yeah.
All you need is love.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our authors, Betsy, Delphine, Letitia. This is our last day at Guadalajara, and we're so happy to have you guys here. We're so happy that you're able to still speak about your book, especially here on the last day. So thank you to all of our viewers. I wasn't able to read out any comments because the authors were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt them. But definitely check out the Facebook Live. There's a lot of comments on there of the people talking about your books and appreciating what you guys are saying. So thank you all. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to Readers Magnet. And we will see you at the next book fair.
Yes. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.